Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Washington, D.C. Did we cover all territory? Tennessee. From down south. Y'all. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Thank you. We'll start, and I just apologize. I was asked to say something here, but I can't stay here long because we have to work on our drama practice. We're very pressed for time. So I will bow out after I say a few things. Thank you. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi
Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavada Prachacha Desatarine
Shri
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jai. I'm one of those people that got initiated by Prabhupada, but I never really had a chance to speak to him. There's a lot of people like that. I know Anutama is amongst those. I don't know, Kuncharatnapu, did you ever have
person would say. You did. Okay, I wasn't. Okay, you got chastised. But you will probably tell that story. Anyways, Prabhupada was very special. In the early days, the movement, it was very simple. We had one guru. There was no question of trying to choose like a box of chocolates, you know. It was just one person who basically ran the operation. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We were in the early days. I just remember I had a few hours with B.B. Govinda Swami, who actually, you know him, right? He's the kirtan wala. And we spent a little time, and when I joined, he was there. He's from Alabama, and he's from down south. And he used to be, one of the first things he said to me, I was a young boy, and Elvis Presley used to babysit me. Used to get me ice cream and all this kind of stuff. So I was, wow, these are amazing people that I'm now part of my family. And so anyways, we were just talking about the old days in Toronto. And I can say that this is the way it was pretty much across North America. We never fought with each other. We just didn't fight with each other. We didn't disagree. There were no big issues. It was so nice. And there was no internet in those days. It was so free, you know. And there was only phone calls and letters, you know, handwritten letters, where you put a stamp on the end, and it goes off, and you'll receive, if you send something, it'll arrive for the sender 3 days later. They were much more simple times. But I just wanted to say that I was one of those persons who never had a chance to talk to Prabhupada. I was a shy guy. I was a brahmachari. I think that if I was in a position to talk to him, I would probably stutter, and everyone would probably look at me. Who are you? Would be. I was just a very reserved type person, at least at that time. But I do remember going on some walks with Srila Prabhupada. Some of those walks were the first time I saw him physically was 1975 in Atlanta, Georgia. There were about 5 busloads of brahmacharis that had come by to see Prabhupada. These busloads of brahmacharis were distributing books all over North America. And it was February was the time that it was Bhakti Siddhanta's appearance day. And Prabhupada was there at that time. And so I had the good fortune to be on that walk with him. One of the more memorable times on the walks was in Chicago in a park along Lake Michigan. And there were a few sannyasis with Prabhupada. Satswarup was there, Vishnujan Swami, Brahmananda, and others. And a few other stragglers like myself. And there was a fellow, he was cycling through, and he stopped his bicycle close to where I was. That's how I remember the exchange very well. And the exchange went something like this. So he stopped, and he said, "Excuse me," and Prabhupada stopped. And the whole entourage with Prabhupada, maybe at the most 25 people, they stopped. And he asked, "Why is it that some of you are carrying the sticks and others are not?" He was referring to the dandas that sannyasis generally carry with them, right? And Prabhupada turned his head to Brahmananda. He said, "What did he say?" And then Brahmananda said, he twisted it a little bit. He said, "They want to know why the sticks, Prabhupada, why the danda?" And Prabhupada said, "Tell him we have the sticks to shoo away the dogs." That was the answer, you know. Now the fellow, the way he responded, he said, "Well, ask a silly question, you get a silly answer." And I just said, it wasn't a silly question. You just asked someone a question who's really, really special. That's all. And he drove away. So that was one instance. I remember in Atlanta, I'll just go back to that instance. It was quite cold. It was February, and it does get cold on the East Coast, even Atlanta, right? And I remember walking along with the devotees, and Prabhupada would be speaking. There was no speaker along with him like we have right now, no device like that. So you'd have to kind of like walk along and put your ear like this to wherever Prabhupada was. And there was this municipal lamp, you know, like a light, like a metal pole way up. And I didn't see it. It just went, and immediately a bump came on my forehead here. And my Sankirtan leader, who's from Canada, he turns to me and he goes, and I just felt like, okay, I get it. Prabhupada's important, but I'm in a lot of pain right now. And we also had another brahmachari traveling with us from Canada. We went to the States because in Canada it gets kind of cooler, and we like to go down and south of the border to do our Sankirtan. There would be more people out and about. And let's see, what was I going to say about that one? Wow, that's a great sound effects at its best. Okay, so what was I about to say? Yeah, Prabhupada was so aloof. He was wearing a coat that Jai Shri had knitted for him. Do you know the famous one from Hawaii? He had this sort of a saffron coat with a hood on it. And there's a lot of pictures of Prabhupada. It's like a classic photos that came from all of that. We were just very sold out to him. My point is that whatever he said, we listened like intently. There was one particular devotee in Atlanta after that walk who was playing the mridanga, and he was showing off. He was bouncing the drum off his belly and boing like this. And he was right close to Prabhupada, and he was kind of showing off to the brahmacharis up in the front near the deities. And Prabhupada looked at him and gave him a real stern look, like one that would kill anybody, you know. He just didn't think it was appropriate behavior. What was unique about Prabhupada's visit in Atlanta, he had us learn a new song. And it's about Chaitanya and Nityananda. Parama Karna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. So the lyrics are all about an unending festival, and it's run by two lords, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. And it was very unusual for Prabhupada to pick up a mridanga in those days, 75, and to start playing it. And so we had that special treasure to be able to see Prabhupada play, teach us a new song, a new bhajan. He was also telling us about how he first met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and that his friend Naren practically dragged him to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Prabhupada was not willing at that stage as a young man and a student from the Scottish Churches College. So Prabhupada was a follower of Gandhi, but eventually became a follower of Mahaprabhu and Bhaktisiddhanta. And if he didn't do that, I'm not sure where we would be today. But I just wanted to share with you something that happened a couple of days ago. When we come from Toronto to come here, we pass by a very special place. It's called Butler, Pennsylvania. And I always take the devotees there to the old YMCA, where Prabhupada stayed for a month in September of 1965. He went every day to the Agarwal residence to do his cooking, like a 3-tier system he had on the stove. It was the place where the Agarwals were living. Sally was her name. Gopal was his name. Gopal had come from India, didn't have his, his residency papers yet. So Sally, an American lady, his wife, she signed the papers. She didn't think anything of it, that anything would happen. And one day Prabhupada just showed up at the door. So that was novel. They were living sort of, Indian pious Hindu life and also American, a mix. And they had eggs. They had like meat in the refrigerator that Prabhupada used. And Sally became a little apologetic about it. And Prabhupada said, well, think nothing of it, and he was so intrigued to see what a vacuum cleaner was, and he was learning all about American life, but Prabhupada had that Indian sense about him, and he would wash his own clothes in the bathtub of the Agarwal's house, which was upstairs, and I guess the floor frame was underneath. And Gopal Agarwal would say, well, we can't spill water because it'll rot the wood and all those things. Anyways, Prabhupada was doing his laundry in the tub by himself. He's 70 years of age now. And then he would put it out, my understanding, on the grass nearby. And so it would dry, just like they do in India. I'm sure people there in Butler, Pennsylvania were wondering, what's he going to do next? And it was really special for us because on the 50th anniversary of when Prabhupada arrived at the Boston Harbor, we had, devotees had a big celebration. Anutama, you were there, right? You're there? I think I see your glasses. Yeah, and we started this walk across the U.S. right then and there at that Boston place, where devotees were gathering. And so that was very monumental. And I made it all the way to Butler, Pennsylvania, and then from there to New York. Kind of like a piece of a pie. And just made it there to New York to the tree, the Prabhupada tree at Tompkins Square Park. What was unique about Butler is that Prabhupada had a speaking engagement at the YMCA. Some local Americans came to hear him speak. They were so intrigued with this small brown man, which was so unique in those days, right? 1965, right? And he said something that went in the Butler Eagle newspaper, when people used to read newspapers. And he said, if Americans paid more attention to their spiritual life, they would be happier. Good. So then, 50 years later, I had the good fortune to walk to Butler from Boston, and right close to the YMCA, we met up with a journalist from that newspaper. Now, he didn't know anything. Hare Krishna was here. It was here. It happened here. It started here. He didn't know that. And then I just gave the same line. Well, our guru was here, and he said if Americans could pay more attention to their spiritual life, they would be happier people. Yes. So 2 days ago, when we stopped with our small group from Toronto, Rasika Radhika was one of those devotees, our driver, Parthasarathi, blessings of Krishna, was a great chariot driver, is still. And I was doing a Zoom call, a Gita class that I do every week with devotees from South Africa. 1 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock their time. And while I was sitting there on the steps leading up to the YMCA, the same steps that Prabhupada used to take, this African-American lady came to me, and she was coming kind of like this. And when people walk like this, they're either curious or they're a little handicapped. Well, I didn't see that she was handicapped. She was as curious as anything. So, what order do you belong to? And I said, please come and sit next to me, And I just held up the phone. And then these devotees in Africa are watching this organic exchange between myself and this lady. She had all the questions in the world. And it was just so nice to meet somebody. And she admitted her name was Janie. and she lives just a block up the street. And she was hearing about Krishna, and her theme was compassion, so she could relate to that. And in the end, we just hugged each other, and then she went on her way. We exchanged phone numbers, and we did have a little chat after that. I think that's what the reason why I'm conveying this to you and tying it in with Prasanatma's presentation. I think to de-stress, you just go out there, do Sankirtan, distribute books. Oh, by the way, I was so embarrassed. Do you have any literature? And I didn't have any with me. I felt like I could have shot myself. But, you know, it was just nice to meet people. You know, brief encounters with people makes a big difference in your life. You don't have to get in the nitty-gritty of people's lives. You just on the surface level, but very nice exchange, and I just felt so good. And after she left, the phone is still up here, and Sam comes along in a wheelchair. Hey, and I said, yes, how are you? I said, my name's Sam, who are you? Hare Krishna. He knew about Hare Krishna. I said, did you know that the Hare Krishna movement started right here at these steps right here? I didn't know that. You know, so it was just nice to meet those kind of people on a sort of spontaneous level, and that's what I like to do. I just like to meet people and encourage them to come to the spiritual side of life. So it was very organic, that experience. The Agarwal's home is also nearby. It was formerly an American Army Force base. What would you call it? Barracks, where some officers lived. I don't know if it was the First or Second World War, but I do know that before. So if anybody ever wants to go on a tour in Butler, Pennsylvania, I can show you at least those two places. It's novel to go there. Yeah, Prabhupada had his footsteps there. He started planting the seeds of bhakti. Hey, what more can you want? Haribol! Thank you very much. I was just saying to Prasanatma Prabhu that what I do for de-stressing is I like to go for a forest bath every day, walk through the bush, get close to the animals, and touch nature, see the sky, experience the air, and be close to the plants, here it's deer and peacocks. Get close to them, admire them. There's a big part of Krishna in them, and that has helped me. I used to be a temple president, and the way I would deal with my, the high pressures, I go for an hour and a half and walk down a ravine in Toronto where it's all green, and where people say, hello, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Sure, the Prabhupada Ki. Fire. He did that last year, and it was really appreciated by devotees, and we're told, unfortunately, he's not feeling well. So, Maharaj, Bhakti Mark's one.
And then you can just, it's a really great reminder right in your mailbox, and you'll see, oh, yeah, and then it draws you. Was also for electrical waste, etc., was connected to a general concern that we become sattvic in our lives.